Welcome back to Old Friends. In this section we're going to talk about healthy aging. So this is all about choice, the choice of not having a very active or long life, and the choice of having a longer and healthier old age.
Much of the issues that deal with poor health in old age really are not just from aging, but from disease processes. And one of the most common ones that I think you heard was hypertension. So more and more we're seeing that high blood pressure comes with old age, and high blood pressure causes a lot of the problems. Everything from glaucoma to macular degeneration to increased risk of stroke to more atherosclerosis. And yet it's not inevitable that just because you get older you will have high blood pressure. The Yanomamo Indians of South America and the Xingu Indians of Brazil, rural Kenyans and natives of Papua New Guinea all have an average blood pressure of 103/63, and even more incredibly, while 90% of modern Americans are going to develop that high blood pressure as they age, people in these primitive cultures just don't develop age-related hypertension. And we really don't know completely why. We know that they're not exposed to modern processed foods like pretzels and crackers and breakfast cereals, and we believe that has a significant amount to do with it. But also these people have low carbohydrate diets, and high carbohydrate diets are primarily the product of our food industry and convenience stores. You don't get that in the jungle. These are people who live outdoors. They forage and they hunt and they walk to their destination. So the urgency to find food as opposed to already having it is probably related to the healthy aspects of their life, including having a low blood pressure. They don't have to drive or wait in line for food. Instead, what they have to do is get a little bit more down to earth, as it were. And in their outdoor living, they wear little or no clothing, and this exposes them to a lot of vitamin D from active sunlight exposure. And we know that vitamin D is an excellent vitamin to help lower blood pressure as well. They do consume wild game as opposed to meat that was in a feedlot, and this means that it's richer in omega-3 fats, lower in cholesterol, and lower in high volumes of saturated fat. That enhances their endothelial health and reduces blood pressure. Also, the wild plants, roots, and berries that they supplement their diet with is typically higher in iodine, and this may also have a lot to do with it. I would invite you to visit blog.trackyourplaque.com for more information on what we're learning about primitive cultures and reduction of blood pressure. Of all the ways that we know that you can lower blood pressure, the most effective is with regular exercise, and particularly with walking and aerobic activity. Along with the psychosocial benefits of doing this with a buddy, we see that this is really the best plan of action for living longer, and something that needs to be a habit in early life so that it remains a habit in older life. And exercise can partially reverse the effects of the aging process on many physiological functions. It preserves the functional reserve, including your respiratory reserve and your cardiovascular reserve and your cardiac health. Numerous studies have shown that maintaining a minimum amount of regular exercise decreases the risk of death, prevents development of certain cancers, lowers the risk of osteoporosis, as well as just increases longevity. Sugar. Sugar can decrease growth hormone, and we know that growth hormone is directly related to most of the changes with aging that are negative. So keep this in mind as well. Sugar feeds cancer. Sugar increases cholesterol. Sugar weakens eyesight. Sugar causes drowsiness and decreased activity. Sugar can interfere with the absorption of protein. Sugar contributes to allergies. Sugar contributes to diabetes. Sugar contributes to eczema in children, and that can become a lifelong issue. Sugar causes cardiovascular disease. Sugar causes metabolic syndrome. Sugar impairs the structure of DNA. Sugar can cause hyperactivity, anxiety, difficult concentrating, and crankiness. Sugar contributes to the reduction of defense against bacterial infection. Sugar greatly assists the uncontrolled growth of Candida albicans, which is yeast infections, and sugar definitely contributes to osteoporosis. The body changes sugar into 2 to 5 times more fat in the bloodstream than it does starchy foods, complex carbohydrates. With 146 proven reasons why sugar is bad for us, there's probably one single reason why we might need it, and that's that it tastes good, and that's why we buy it. To learn more about the influence of sugar on aging, I would invite you to visit www.naturalnews.com. So probably of the strategies that I've got to present here, the one that astounded me the most, partly because it surprised me, and second because the results have proven to be the most effective anti-aging remedy out there, is fasting. Now, most of the great religions at some point in time have advocated fasting for health, for one reason or another: spiritual health, mental health, physical health. And yet it really didn't attract the attention of scientific research until the early 1930s. And this was because during the peak of the Depression, when food was scarce and many people were not eating full meals or regular meals every day, you would think that we'd have had more health problems and shorter lifespan. But in fact, during that period, the average lifespan of Americans increased by 6 years. And that stimulated a lot more research. In laboratory studies on rats, they found that a serious restriction of calories actually increased their life expectancy by 6 times. 6 times. So this is just kind of remarkable. And the other thing that you see is in veterinary medicine, in some of the research they've done with Labradors and also with large game, is that in zoos we've seen this, is that animals that have calorie restriction are more vigorous, are more active, and reproduce better. They just basically live a much more healthy lifestyle than those that are able to just eat as much as they want when they want. And that has been a real good take-home message there. So 40% restriction in diet seems to equivalent to about 20 more years of active life. So does an apple a day really keep the doctor away? And why do you want to keep the doctor away? Well, maybe because you don't need him. Of all the trendy fruit, vegetables, and diet fads, we talk about pomegranates, acai, and other tropical fruit that I cannot pronounce well. I think the interesting finding that we've read on the internet and that science is really publishing right now is the importance of polyphenols found in the skin of apples. And it really almost doesn't matter what variety, what your favorite type of apple is, whether it's a Honeycrisp or a Jonagold. Eating apples, and plenty of them, is very good. And one of the things that I thought was kind of interesting, that when you take the flavonoids that are found in a lot of fruit, in one study, if you increase the diet of that, you can reduce mortality by 31%, specifically from cardiovascular disease. But when the intake was apples in particular, that actually translated a 43% reduction in death, and again primarily from heart disease. But the properties of the polyphenols seem to be very widespread. It's excellent autoimmune supportive. Not autoimmune supportive, but immune supportive, and it actually seems to be very helpful as an anti-cancer product, as a way of controlling cholesterol, and as a way of lowering blood pressure. So eat apples, and remember to eat them raw and eat the skin. Now, I don't think I've underestimated already the importance of regular exercise, but another interesting thing about it is that we know that mild cognitive impairment is a risk factor for dementia, and because exercise is becoming increasingly correlated with good mental health, It just got to be part of your regular routine. In a study by the University of British Columbia, women between the ages of 70 and 80 who were experiencing some mild cognitive impairment or like memory loss started attending 60-minute classes led by a certified fitness instructor just 2 times a week. And they used resistance training and free weights, and they were told to perform various sets of exercises with various loads. This went on for 26 weeks while the researchers conducted tests. After analyzing the data, they concluded that the women benefited from the weight training in more ways than one. They saw improvement in memory, improvement in attention, and improvement in the ability to resolve conflicts. So there's so many benefits to weight training that, again, it's got to become part of the way we work and the way we should work out. It may very well prove to be an effective deterrent to Alzheimer's in both men and women. So if you want to be a long-term, long for the road, and darn good-looking genius like Einstein, I would recommend that we consider this choices. And then the other thing, and this seems to be almost natural with the idea of retirement and living on long in your years, is sleep. What we're learning right now is that sleep patterns in the elderly are actually established in your 20s and 30s. And the important thing is getting a good, solid sleep. In one study where they were looking at people who were dieting and working on weight reduction, they found that they actually did this in sleep labs where they would interrupt the person's sleep. And then in another control group, they did not, and made sure that they always had at least an available 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. The group that had the short interrupted sleep cycles did lose weight, just like the other people did, but in fact what they lost was water and muscle, whereas the people who got a good night's sleep lost the fat that they were trying to lose. So again, with all of the diseases that are actually directly related to accumulating fat in the body and the aging that seems to cause, this has got to be another key to a healthy, longer, and productive. This all helps, and if you have any questions, please be sure and send them to me. You can reach me at my email address for the college, as well as directly through the contact on the mailbox here on Canvas. I hope this has been helpful, and continue to enjoy your refresher.